Hello everyone, this is Ralph McFall from Dharma Publishing, and I wanted to talk today a little bit about problems. You could say perspectives on problems. And I was thinking the other day to myself, I said, boy, I seem to have so many problems. This part of my life has problems, this has problems. So many problems. And I remembered that in Tarthang Tulku's books there are frequent references to the nature of problems and working with problems in different ways. So decided to collect some of those references. And today we'd like to start with something from Crystal Mirror 4, which has a number of early essays by Tarthang Tulku. And this is what I remembered from that essay. I'll read you the quote. Why do we have problems? Because we believe there is a no problem place. And that's really stuck in my mind. I'll read you the longer quote. Why do we have problems? Because we believe there is a no problem place. We have that kind of concept. Therefore, the contrast between who we are and who we would like to be, we call problem. If we don't imagine there is a no problem place, if we do not have that kind of fixed idea, we may never suffer. So that's a fairly strong statement. But it just, for me, I see that the kind of the context there, because I think that everything should go a certain way, I set myself up for it to not go that way. It's like you buy a car and you don't see broken car. But of course, a car is going to break. It's just part of the deal. So when the car breaks, we call problem, but there's really nothing necessarily unexpected about it. It's just inconvenient to our designs at the moment. So this idea that we are creating this fantasy of some perfect world, is part of what's setting up our our problem orientation. And one thing that overlooks is, in my experience, is that you gain mastery through difficulties. Like when I'm training someone to run a printing press here at Dharma Publishing, Yeshide project, I always joke that the worst thing that can happen when I'm training someone is that nothing goes wrong, because you don't learn anything. Anybody can go up there and push a few buttons and make the thing run when it's working. But you get mastery through seeing many circumstances and many things going wrong. So if we want to gain mastery in our life or in any profession, we need to encounter adversity and things so that then we continuously expand our knowledge, etc. So that's one aspect of it. And another thing that I find interesting along these lines is our use of language. Once in a while, I think it's really helpful to watch how we talk and sometimes question how we use words and what we mean. And some time ago I had a feeling about this. I noticed that I was frequently saying that something was difficult. So I got a little intrigued or possibly suspicious about that. So I asked myself, well, at the moment that you decide to call something difficult, what exactly are you actually describing? And what does it mean? And I realized that I didn't know what I meant when I said it. And it was a kind of a shorthand for not looking or excusing something. So I looked at what is it? When I think something is difficult, what's actually happening in my experience? And what I discovered at that time was that things that I referred to as being difficult were things where I had some kind of aversive energy. So I had difficulty engaging with it. Sometimes we call resistance, and that I hadn't applied myself very much. I tried a little bit, but not very extensively, and I was essentially bouncing off the problem situation. So this was actual knowledge that gave me something to work with, whereas just glossing it and calling it difficult was not helpful in any sense of the word. So you may find with problem or with other similar things something very interesting to look at there. Another couple of points along these lines, with problems, nature of problems, I was working quite some time ago on something for the Yeshide project with another community member, Sally, and we were talking about some circumstance that in organizing the job, and she turned to me at one point and said, well, let's not get too obstacle-oriented. And that was so striking to me because it pinpointed that the obstacle or the problem captivates your mind and blocks out almost everything else. The same way, like you get one, like, you know, mosquito bite, or you get an itchy place on your body, all your attention goes there. So problems once they're conceived of that way, have this capacity to hypnotize us and fix our attention in a very limiting way. So it's really helpful, I think, to be aware of that and not, quote, get too obstacle-oriented. And then the last point for today it relates again around the language, because so much of our life is lived in language and concepts, so they're kind of important. So I was thinking about problems and solutions, and everything today, reading print industry journals and things, you want to be a solutions provider, you know, but sometimes it's that has an interesting dynamic, because we may be creating problems so we can provide solutions. And I was thinking about the nature of problems, and that there's something stuck in problems. For me, it's a kind of a shorthand for saying, I have a set of definitions and relationships here between things that is frozen and unhappy. And when I think about solutions, I'm no chemist, but the idea that you take a block of something and you put it in solution means you break its form apart so everything is freely floating around. So you can actually make, I've done sometimes a practice to visualize or imagine a problem situation and let the pieces float, like really like see yourself and the other people in different spatial orientations. Let the feelings in your body float freely out into space or around in different ways, and really kind of like take the elements of the problem and let them rearrange themselves in a way. So you don't have to deal with the definitions, you just have to free up the definitions, you know. So there's more to say about that, but we'll do that in a future video. I think we're going to do maybe 5 of these based on other texts by Tarthang Tulku. So I hope you find that intriguing and gets you to look in a little bit fresh way at your problems.